PlayStation has announced that they are reducing their workforce by 8%. This includes impacts at companies like Insomniac, who just had a great game come out. This includes companies like Naughty Dog and the closure of studios and the canceling of projects that were in the works. This is Izzy Foley 94. Izzy Foley 94 worked at the London studio HQ. Jim Ryan visited said HQ 5 days before it was completely closed. Izzy's reaction was, "I have nothing to say. I'm in tears. I'm looking for a new job, I guess. So please reach out. I'm numb, and once settled, I may have more to say." As I said, when Microsoft laid off 1,900 people, this is one of the hardest things to go through as an employee. It is incredibly difficult, and the industry seems merciless with how often these are coming, because a day after the PlayStation announcement, EA also announced they're laying people off. I'm going to focus on PlayStation today. I'll make a separate video about EA, but let's get into what PlayStation said and the impact right now. So we're going to start with the official statements and talk about what a few people have said. We start with an important update from PlayStation Studios. Today, Sony Interactive Entertainment initiated a reduction in our workforce, including within PlayStation Studios, and I wanted to talk about the impact that will have. These decisions have been extremely difficult, but they are necessary, and I think it's important to be transparent. The UK-based studios and groups impacted by a reduction in workforce are Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, as well as our technology, creative, and support teams. In UK and European-based studios, it is proposed that PlayStation Studios London will close in its entirety. There will be a reduction in Guerrilla and Firespite. Now, you have to remember, Guerrilla, working on the Horizon franchise, just had a very successful launch. And the closure of yet another PlayStation studio is incredibly unfortunate. I believe the last studio we heard of closing was Tokyo. And if we go back to 2023, we have to remember the 8% reduction, which is about 900 employees, is added to, while they work independently, the 100 layoffs at Bungie and just the other layoffs that we've heard of back in 2023. There were rumors that this was coming, and the day seems to be here. These are in addition to some smaller reductions in other teams across PlayStation Studios. Our goal at PlayStation Studios has always been to make the best games for PlayStation fans, and our global community of studios represent some of the most creative and talented teams within the gaming industry. PlayStation 5 is in its 4th year, and we are at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs. At the same time, our industry has experienced continuing and fundamental change which affects how we all create and play games. Delivering the immersive, narrative-driven stories that PlayStation Studios is known for at the quality bar that we aspire to requires a reevaluation of how we operate. Delivering and sustaining social online experiences, allowing PlayStation gamers to explore our worlds in different ways, as well as launching games on additional devices such as PC and mobile, requires a different approach and different resources. You know, the ironic thing is, it seems to me that would require more workers also, as you are beefing up divisions of your company that, while are staffed accordingly right now, could need more staff in the near future. And it just continues to show that this is very unfortunate. To take on these challenges, PlayStation Studios had to grow. We have brought brilliant and successful studios into our family. We have invested in new technology and partnerships. We have recruited talent from across our industry and beyond. But growth itself is not an ambition. PlayStation Studios is committed to continually discovering ways to work together, collaborating, and combining our efforts to ensure that we are able to craft games that push the boundaries of play and deliver what you expect from us. We looked at our studios and our portfolio, evaluating projects in various stages of development, and have decided that some of those projects will not move forward. This does include a report from Jason Schreier, who is saying that a Twisted Metal live service game that was in development and UK-based studio Firespite has been canceled, and Firespite will also be impacted by these layoffs. That is unfortunate. I think a lot of people would have enjoyed that game, and it's actually a well-known IP. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense why Insomniac would be impacted. For example, they're one of the most profitable companies at PlayStation. None of this really makes sense. None of what's happening seems to make sense right now. I want to be clear that the decision to stop work on these projects is not a reflection on the talent or passion of team members. Our philosophy has always been to allow creative experimentation. Sometimes great ideas don't become great games. Sometimes a project is started with the best intentions before shifts within the market or industry result in a change of plan. I think they're talking about factions. I am deeply saddened to see talented individuals leave the company. I have so much admiration, appreciation, and respect for their work. PlayStation Studios will continue to be a creator-led organization driven by evolving our beloved franchises and bringing new gameplay experiences of the highest quality to our fans. Thank you all for your continued support. I do find it very unfortunate that they brought out Jim Ryan one last time before he retires to nuke the London studio. And I don't have a lot of sympathy for how sad the corporate people feel about having to lay these people off. This was written by Herman Hulst. I understand that they have a certain amount of empathy, but at the end of the day, you're the one firing all these people. So, yeah. I don't have sympathy for any executive at any company who is looking for sympathy about having to fire a bunch of people. I'm worried about the people. Insomniac posted about this because it is bizarre that this would happen. Like several other teams across SIE and PlayStation Studios, Insomniac Games was impacted by yesterday's layoffs. There are no sufficient words to express our feelings about it. This is a solemn and unprecedented moment for our studio. We are focusing our energy on helping everyone affected through this challenging time. For those who are hiring, there are great people seeking new roles who made important contributions to Insomniac's history. We're extremely grateful for them, and they will be missed. Cromwell said, "Thank you for focusing on what's important, the human lives." Like I said at the top of the episode, these layoffs that are impacting everybody are going to continue, unfortunately, and it is very important to be mindful to the people, the real people who are impacted by this, because this is hard to recover from. It will take time. They will get through it, and hopefully they have, a little bit of hope online from people that are being supportive, like they have been with Izzy, who I talked about at the top of the show. Yeah, this is really unfortunate. When it happened with Microsoft, I talked about how the industry has been headed towards this for a while. There is an over-reliance on microtransactions to support development costs. Prices were raised during a time when these companies were seeing their most profitable years ever, and it seems to have made no impact. So the console is more expensive, games are more expensive, and it just seems to not help anything. I had a bit of a conversation with very AFK Cromwell, who is the director of publishing at Larian. He had some interesting insight into this, because what a lot of people are like, just make games more expensive for the consumer. I'm pro-consumer. I don't agree. I don't agree with the narrative that charging us more money is the solution. There is a lot more that needs to be done at a studio level. Larian isn't out there needing to charge $100 for their games. They're not using upselling tactics. And there are plenty of examples of companies that are charging even $40, like Helldivers. Enshrouded wasn't a full $70 game, and it was very successful. And it was only on one platform. What were the other ones that I had? Helldivers, Palworld, there's just more and more examples of games that cost $40 versus the $100 Suicide Squad that just doesn't feel like a game that was well thought out, well planned, and is now seeing very, very low player numbers. So I said, say game prices are raised to $100. You've now limited how many people can afford your game and your sales. I don't think raising game prices will even make a dent in the problem because it becomes cost prohibitive at some point. Cost prohibitive means that fewer people will buy your game at $100 just because of the value of their dollar, right? So you lose sales. Sure, you have to sell fewer games, but you're making it cost prohibitive at some point where people just aren't going to buy through. And let's hear what he says. So this is, for context, this is somebody who knows what he's talking about. He's a director of publishing at Larian Studios. He says, the conventional logic is that players are not as price sensitive as people think, but this applies to $40 to $60. They say it doesn't make a difference leaping to $100 when quality can't be trusted would be suicide. Sorry, leaping to $100 when quality can't be trusted would be suicide, especially with the decline of marketing avenues. I've talked about the quality issue and how things like day one patches have been relied on too much, and it's really set a lot of people back in terms of trust. They don't trust that their games are going to come out day one and work well. And that's why reviews and Steam reviews, for example, are becoming more and more valuable. The problem with a more modest inflation increase to $80, for example, is that you're still fighting for screen time in a crowded market where there's less and less screen time each year. So though operationally viable, raising is antithetical to the screen time problem also. This is essentially what's so messy about the industry at the moment. You need to invest much larger sums to compete, but it's for screen time and less for shelf space. There's a lot less screen time than there ever was shelf space, so risk is higher than ever. Crazy levels. That's why people call games as a service a bubble. It competes with itself. It's essentially both the problem and the solution. However, optimism, there will be players who want other experiences, and broadly speaking, there will be a lifeline for the rest. Hopefully the market doesn't shrink too much. A lot of reductions by 8%, but the answer isn't to find more ways to nickel and dime the customer. The answer, I think, in my opinion, is to look at what's going on at your studio at an executive level, figure out cost-saving measures. Bungie missed their revenue forecast by 45%. They have one of the highest burn rates in the industry. And they have a lot of, employee programs and such. Like they have a knitting class, and I guess that's fine, but it is a little strange to me that there is a large focus on the extracurricular activities, which is one of the things that actually got sliced at Bungie. So we've been in this period where I think a lot of these companies just felt untouchable, and they're just burning through cash. And now the ask for the work has come down. And it's like, well, where's the money? You missed revenue targets by 45%. It's going to have a negative impact on the entirety of the industry. Now, there was a separate blog post from PlayStation about this. Difficult news about our workforce. This is from Jim Ryan. The other one was from Herman Holst. The PlayStation community means everything to us, so I felt it was important to update you on a difficult day at our company. We have made the extremely hard decision to announce our plan to commence a reduction of our overall headcount globally by about 8%, or about 900 people plus 100 people at Bungie, so 1,000 people plus the layoffs in October of last year, but I digress. Subject to local law and consultation processes. Employees across the globe, including our studios, are impacted. These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead. We need to deliver on expectations from developers and gamers and continue to propel future technology in gaming. So we took a step back to ensure we are set up to continue bringing the best gaming experiences to the community. Below, I've shared a copy of the email I sent out to the company this morning to provide more context on our thinking. We deeply appreciate support and understanding from the PlayStation community as these decisions are very difficult. Please rest assured that our plans for reorganizing and streamlining are so we can continue to deliver the best gaming experiences possible. remember I made a video the other day. You can go check it out here. And I guess while I'm here, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you like my content. I made a video talking about how NBC, an analyst at NBC, pointed out that PlayStation just lost $10 billion in market value. That is going to impact people. So when I talk about those stories, it's dangerous for the employees. The executives are all going to be fine. They all get their golden parachutes, and they're the ones making the bad decisions that lead to things like this, which is why it's absolutely infuriating when Bobby Kotick or Jim Ryan, whoever gets a golden parachute. But I also want to point out that it was very interesting that Bungie, Bethesda, Activision, they were all looking to sell when the market was at its best. Why? I think they knew that the processes that they had created and reinforced simply weren't sustainable within the market. They're making money, but they're not making the percentages that they need to in order to continue operating the way that they're operating. That's why we're seeing reductions in Overwatch. We also saw like Activision overhire by 2,000 people. It's just, I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, let's read the email. Team, it is important to provide you with updates about the business as often as possible. Today, I am writing with sad news. Through discussions over the past few months about the evolving economic landscape, changes in the way we develop, distribute, and launch products, and ensuring our organization is future ready in this rapidly changing industry, we have concluded that tough decisions have become inevitable. The leadership team and I made the incredibly difficult decision to restructure operations, which regrettably includes a reduction in our workforce, impacting very talented individuals who have contributed to our success. After careful consideration and many leadership discussions over several months, it has become clear changes need to be made to continue to grow the business and develop the company. We had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward, focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community. The goal is to streamline our resources to ensure our continued success and ability to deliver experiences gamers and creators have come to expect from us. I want to be as transparent as possible with you, our partners, and our community about what this means. We envision reducing our headcount by about 900 people, or 8% of our current workforce. There will be impact for employees across all SIE regions, Americas, EMEA, Japan, and APAC. Several PlayStation studios are affected. I know that receiving this news will be hard and unsettling, and you are wondering what this means for you. Timelines and procedures for how we approach this will vary based on your location due to local laws and regions. For those of you across the US, all impacted employees will be notified today. In the UK, it's proposed that PlayStation Studios London will close in its entirety. There will be reductions in Fire Sprite Studio, and that there will be reductions in various functions across SIE and the UK. The proposed changes mean that we will enter a period of collective consultation before any financial decisions are taken. All employees who are part of the collective consultation will be made aware of the next steps today. In Japan, we will implement a next career support program. Details will be communicated separately. In other countries, we will begin conversations with those who are potentially at risk or impacted as a result of this proposed course of action. For those who will be leaving SIE, you are leaving this company with our deepest respect and appreciation for all your efforts during your tenure. For those who will be staying at SIE, we will be saying goodbye to friends and colleagues that we cherish during this process, and this will be painful. Your resilience, sensitivity, and adaptiveness will be critical in the weeks and months to come. This will not be easy, and I am aware of the impact it will have on well-being. Affected employees will receive support, including severance benefits. While these are challenging times, it is not indicative of a lack of strength of our company, our brand, or our industry. Our goal is to remain agile and adaptive and to continue to focus on delivering the best gaming experiences possible now and in the future. Thank you for your understanding during this difficult period. Please be kind to yourselves and to each other. This sucks. PlayStation is added to everybody else who is doing a reduction in workforce right now, and there's no other way to say it. It's awful. I don't have a lot of sympathy for the executives who have made the decisions that have led to these layoffs being necessary. And I think it's time for the industry to start looking at how your budget balloons to $300 million for some games. What is happening? How can Larian make Baldur's Gate 3 for less money than the AAA space is making games for? The rumor, there hasn't been concrete evidence. I think it's closer to $200 million for Baldur's Gate 3, all said and done. But there was a rumor that it was only $100 million. Look at what the studios are doing who are successful and emulate that. I would even argue that I think pivoting from a first-person game to a games-as-a-service game at a company like, I don't know, Rocksteady comes to mind right away. It doesn't make any sense. Nintendo doesn't take Zelda and drastically change the Zelda formula from Zelda to Zelda, and that's basically what Rocksteady did. They wanted to try something different. Well, it was a tremendous flop that took way too long to make, and I do worry about the future of those brands. Anyway, not much to say. This sucks. There's more layoffs at EA. I'll probably make a separate video about that. And that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. You know what? At times like this, I am very, very, very thankful for the members. They support this channel and me doing this. So thank you so much. Hit that join button if you want to become a member and support the channel and allow me to make this content and not worry about whatever the heck is going on with YouTube ad revenue, because it's all over the place. And if you want to see the video I made where I talked about how PlayStation just lost $10 billion in market value, you can check that out right there because it's pertinent to this conversation. Bye for now. I'll see you for the next one. I hope you have a good day.